I would like to share some of the things that I've, um, I've experienced for the last couple of weeks, not just couple of weeks, just 2 weeks, and it's a very important video by far, and uh, I'd like you to listen very much. It's a live experience story, and I'd like it's sort of like a sermon, but I'll just put it the way it is. Okay, let me start like this. Losing someone we love is really tough. It brings a lot of sadness and makes us feel lost. When we're going through times like this, we often turn to our faith to find comfort and hope. The story of my little sister or my daughter passing, yeah, reminds us of how hard it can be to accept someone is gone. Just like Thomas in the Bible, who needed proof. In this summer, we'll talk about the journey of grief and how we can find hope and comfort in it, even when we lost someone we deeply care about. The Bible is words that gives us encouragement and promises from God. It gives us strength during the darkest times. One verse that brings hope is from Revelation chapter 21, verse 4. It says that God will wipe away all our tears. There will be no more death, no sorrow, no crying, no pain. This verse tells us that one day all the sad things what we experience will be gone and we will find comfort in God's arm. Here's the story from me. I've been working on this little story. It's a live experience, and I've been putting the title of this story as August 2022. August 22, 2023. The title is August 22. August 22, you've always been so good to me throughout my life, and I will remember you now, for you are not only the giver of life, but also the one who takes it away. Losing someone, especially a family member, is an emotionally disruptive experience. It is an experience that is not immediately accepted, but then we may come to believe it. However, we all want to be like Thomas. We want to see it, then we believe it, and accept the fact of their death. A brother from home called me around 2 p.m. on Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023. He couldn't talk for a short while and cleared his throat. I knew something wasn't right about it. I quickly responded, bruh, then tell me something's wrong. He paused, but his emotion overwhelmed his resistance. He replied and said, Wendy is dead. At first, I was confused. Not really confused, I heard what he said, but my mind wasn't comprehending the whole point. My mind was having a difficult time absorbing the point to be true. In a hostile scenario, the background applause caused distress, discord, and desolation, and I was panicked to accept that death was true. I hung up the call so miserably, and afterwards I was collapsed. 10 to 15 minutes later, many calls kept came. I didn't want to answer them, and if pattern made my fear even worse. I tried to convince myself to believe that she was dead, but that didn't work out. I tried to prove it that I called my family, my elder sister especially. She answered the call, but she didn't want to talk. She didn't even say a word or two, but all I could hear was crying and mourning. I believed it. I believed her death, but I didn't want to accept it. I was inconsolable. I gripped. As the night painted the horizon, I was alone in the room. I flipped through her photos in my laptop and my phone. I could only see her laughter, smiles, and appreciation of life. I treasured those moments as diamonds. I regretted those moments too for not doing some of the things I should have done with her. Perhaps not listening to her. And these are the moments that turned into darkness and shadow painted as smiles in my mind. Wendy, Wendy, Wendy. And dear friends, the most heartfelt cry is to cry a cry when there is no one watching you cry. It is only a cry, but it isn't only a cry, but your heart cries. You cry as their face seems to appear on your face. You look around, but no one watches you. You look out the windows and see the terrain, inconsolable. Everything reminds you of them. You call the dead person name, but no one could hear you talking, not even them. Your heart is torn. Tears drops down and down, running nose, your shirt is wet. We call God's name saying, why? We only realize we can do anything but cry and cry. I could not sleep at that night. The night was so different and so long. Not as usual. I couldn't pray but cried all night. Nightmares and irregular sleeping experience. I got up early in the morning. Once familiar bed choruses devolved into a song of sorrow. Pillow as wet as the tears drops like creek. I got out and looked around. Floral greetings greeted me in sympathy, but that only made it worse. Oh, what a day of misfortune. Then I told myself, Wendy, where have you slept yesterday? I couldn't help but notice as tears dropped. Tears kept flowing down my eyes. I usually get on bus with lots of happiness because I was going to meet my family who eagerly waited in happiness. But the bus ride I took to come home for this time for the funeral was miserable, painful, and tedious. I could already predict that this home would be in desolation and inconsolable. Oh, August 22, you've always been so good to me throughout my life, and I will remember you now, for you are not only the giver of life, but also the one who takes it away. I dropped off the bench, and I could already feel a warm embrace. I started looking around the shops and thought to myself, Wendy Sarandram Liya. I walked with my laptop bag hanging by my back and cried as I walked the street of Bands. I stepped into a shop and bought some rabbit flowers. They were for a funeral. The moment I bought them, I realized that she was dead. I said to myself in front of the shopkeeper, Wendy, how did you make me buy these flowers? I blew my nose as tears dropped in front of the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper was also inconsolable, as I was so torn apart. I walked out and waited for a bus by the tree. I couldn't help but cry as I stood there. When the bus arrived, I got on and took off. As I approached home, the atmosphere was so different. It wasn't as usual. People had gathered in our place. It wasn't a good gathering by far. It was a total failure, as I already predicted. While crying, I said to myself, why are you all standing there? That was actually what I told myself of the people who were standing around our place. But that didn't help. That didn't make a difference. It was just making my emotion worse. I cried and cried and cried. Now I realize and accept the fact that Wendy is dead. Oh, August 22. You've always been so good to me my entire life. I will remember you now, for you are not only the giver of life, but also the one who takes it away. I stood at the edge of the room in the funeral home, the mix, unable to bring myself to step closer to a casket. It had only been a day since the incident, and I still couldn't believe she was gone. Wendy was my best friend, my confidant, my sister, my little daughter, and now she was just gone. Finally, I took a deep breath and forced myself to walk over to the casket. As I unveiled the laptop, there she was, so sweet, lying in the transparent glass. Oh, Wendy, she was so beautiful, even in her death. Her skin was like porcelain, and her hair was black as night. She was wearing a white blouse, and her hands were folded neatly at her chest. She looked like she was sleeping. She was so beautiful, so beautiful. I collapsed to my knees and reached out to her. Her skin was so cold, so cold, so unlike the one vivacious girl I knew. I couldn't believe that she was real. Wendy was gone. My heart broke in torn. Then I remembered as the days passed, as Jesus promised, one day he will come. Jesus will come in the eastern sky, and all that have died will be raised from death. And in this glorious morning, I will see a smiling face waking up from the cemetery that we have all buried. I know very well that she will run to greet me, and how I will soon run back to her. This glorious morning will be a morning of reunion. Oh God, I can't wait for it. Until we meet in the glorious morning, Wendy Malwai, rest his princess. When we lose someone we love, we can find hope and comfort in God's promises. The Bible tells us that God is close to those who are hurting. He can help us hurting, and He can help us when we feel weak. In Psalms chapter 34, verse 8, and it says that God is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. This means that even when we feel alone and broken, God is there with us, ready to give us strength and heal our hearts. Another verse in Isaiah chapter 44 and verse 10 reminds us not to be afraid because God is with us. He promises to give us strength and help us through tough times. This verse shows that we're not alone in our griefs and that God cares about our pain. Finally, in First Thessalonians chapter 14, 4 verse 13, the Bible talks about epic hope when facing death. It says that as believers, we hope that God we hope that goes beyond graves. We can trust that one day there will be no more tears, sorrows, death. We will be reunited with our loved ones, including Wendy, once in a beautiful and joyful eternity. To conclude, when we are going through the pain of losing someone we love, we can find open comfort in God's promises. He is there for us, ready to heal our broken hearts and give us the strength we need. We can trust that one day all the sadness and pains we experience will be replaced with joy and peace. Let's hold on to those promises and find comfort in loving presence of our Heavenly Father, knowing that one day we'll be reunited with our loved ones, including Wendy Mal, in the glorious and everlasting future. With that, have faith and never lose hope that one day Jesus will return in the eastern sky. With that, God bless our studies.